Before we get back to the issue of the monkeypox situation, there's a need for us to talk about this because the national service personnel have for years now tried without success to have their allowances increased from the 559 Ghana cedis. Now, on Monday, Parliament and the Ministry of Education actually failed to receive a petition from a group calling itself the Coalition of Suffering National Service Personnel. The group hopes to push for an increase and also request their 3 months arrears to ensure that they are paid. Their planned picketing in Parliament and the Ministry of Education actually failed. We have more for you in this report.
Members of the Coalition of Suffering National Service Personnel failed to turn up massively as leaders had hoped. Those present were determined to have their voices heard. Wechia Awarija is president.
We are petitioning the the Speaker of Parliament and the Ministry of Education. We want them to ensure that our allowances are paid timely. We also want the National Service Secretariat to clear all the allowances, the arrears that they owe us.
The group wanted to present a petition to Parliament and the Ministry of Education. That did not happen. Festus Tremanting is General Secretary of the coalition. He explains why both stakeholders could not receive their petition.
Prior to this demonstration, we sent our letters to the various ministries, that is the Ministry of Education and to Parliament House as well. So our intention was after the demonstration, we will present our petition to them. But from the information the police is giving us, Ministry of Education is denying the fact that we brought a letter to them, and Parliament is also telling us they are not in the position to receive the petition now.
The members expressed their frustration and called on government to address the situation.
We don't hate anybody. I would like to say that the NASPA as an association is like a toothless bulldog. Okay, instead of liaising and talking on behalf of students, they listen to the NSS and they give us feedback.
They should pay our allowance on time, and they should at least increase it because we are in an economy where everything is exorbitantly high.
I would like to tell the NASPA executives that they are in that position to serve in the interest of members, not in the interest of the Secretariat.
Leaders of the group hope to send a petition to Parliament and Education Ministry in subsequent days. Ifua Aprikwa Boafo's report, read to you.
So it's a good time now to hear from the National Service Secretariat as to what it is that they're doing to resolve these challenges and the concerns being raised now. Joining me now is Mrs. Gifty Owari-Mensah, Deputy Executive Director at the NSS. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. First of all, are you aware of these concerns that some service personnel have not been paid for way beyond 3 months? Are you aware of these concerns? You'd have to unmute for us so we can hear you and get the point you're making. Yes, so kindly unmute for us, Gifty, if you can hear me, so we can get the points that you're making. I was asking earlier.
Right.
Yes, precisely. We can hear you now. Yes, so I was asking about the concerns as to whether you're aware some of your service personnel have not been paid far in excess of 3 months.
Right. Like I said, a good afternoon to our cherished viewers and listeners. I think that we have to set this clearer, that National Service is not owing our National Service personnel any 3 months. We've paid our April, and then we are in the month of May as at National Services calendar. And this month of May is supposed to end on the 15th of June. So as you and I are speaking, we are not owing National Service personnel. Rather, there are a pocket of people who have not once submitted their monthly assessment form. Some have not put their right e-switch numbers up, and some have not even worked for the time they are asking us to pay them. So these are few people we are owing, and these people do not even match up as to 1,000. We've paid 67,000 NSPs as of April, and there is no way we are owing any national service. And I keep saying that if we follow just sensation and not follow what is really rational, we realize that, see, these are people who are supposed to have called on people for almost close to 2 weeks, seeking for some demonstration sort of, and then you saw the numbers that were there. So if generally my NSPs were not paid, would have experienced a huge number supposed to, because from the brass spot to where they ended the demonstration is supposed to be a place that has many people on the road, but you could. And then it's clear that only 7 people were there for the demonstration.
And I'm sure that obviously, you're not letting this 1,000 that you're referring to in terms of the outstanding numbers, you're not leaving them to their fate. You're obviously taking a number of remedial measures to try and sort them out, if we could use that term.
Sure, many of them, like I said, so most of them are on, I've been on few sister stations of yours, and then I had stated this, Clara, that many of them had not even submitted their monthly assessment, or some of them had been late in submission. So after we pay the general one, yes, we have few ones we have to pay. We do 3 payments before we pay our next in line. So yes, we are going to make sure we pay them. But then if you did not work for any month whatsoever, you're not going to be paid, no matter what you do and no matter how many times you want to demonstrate. Because the point is that as I am paying, I'm not just paying any Ghanaian. I'm paying a Ghanaian that had done service, that had properly been posted by national service. So yes, as far as national service has posted you, as far as you've worked for the month, you are supposed to submit your monthly duty form, which we have trained these national service personnel on 3 different occasions. One is when they were supposed to be on campus doing the campus orientation. The second is when they are posted new through the regional secretariat and also through the district secretariat. We do various orientations to make sure that our national service personnel are up to speed to the processes we do. So if at this point we still have personnel after starting service from September seeking for late submission, then we are sorry, but we would pay them. But we cannot delay every other person's payment just because some pocket of people decide not to do the right thing.
And Gifty, you must agree that part of your processes are also laborious. Perhaps that may be accounting for why some of these students are having, or graduates are having challenges in terms of having their arrears cleared. Are you working?
That is not true. Let me give. And
I'm asking this question on the basis of the fact that for those working in the public sector, for instance, they need clearance from some supervisors, and that also takes some time. You agree?
That, you see, every supervisor, especially in the public sector, knows this process, and there's not been any way. Today, like I said, on one of the stations, which I would not want to mention name, it came out clearer that some people would say, oh, I did not submit my form early because when I submit early, they would take money. Until this morning, it had never come to the notice of national service. And right after it came to our notice, we have started making arrangements to make sure we get to the bottom of that. But then if I pay money or not, it does not prevent me from making sure that I have submitted. And we are not talking about process. We are just talking about submission. So it's a point of my supervisor signing a signature for me to submit. If by any reason my supervisor is not, on their portal, they have a way of giving us messages to understand. But if all of these processes are not done, then you'll be surprised that somewhere in, I think in December, we had to use November to validate, because we realized that out of our close to 70,000 NSPs, only about 30,000 had submitted their monthly assessment. So you'd have to rely on the November to pay. But it gets to a point where all of us have to meet each other halfway. And we are saying that at this point, for the first time in the National Service Schemes era, we did not come out ever to complain about when our national service personnel are submitting and how they delay us. We are saying for them to be able to be paid early, they should make sure that they are submitting to us very early. And yes, we'll pay them. And our system, like I am saying, is one of the most easiest, because when it's just a point of walking to the district office and submitting. So you drop. So you don't waste time. You just go drop. And to the extent that there are some ministries that we allow them to even drop in bulk. So if still as dropping in bulk, these same people are not able to drop in bulk just because I feel that I can delay and submit it anytime I want. Why do I think that all other service personnel should suffer just because Gifty is not submitting early?
So is that the end of the road, or perhaps you are putting in place some measures to try and open up your portals again and try as much as possible to rectify the concerns?
We've done a lot of opening up. We've done a lot of rectification. I believe that management is still supposed to sit again, and then we try to do quarterly meetings with NASFA, with all the people involved, and make sure we do the right thing. So yes, we'll open it up and see how best we can be able to.
Are you able to give some timelines at this point? Because I guess the concern of the group there is that it has to be timely. So what timelines are you working with?
I am not able to give timelines because this is the best process we at National Service believe in. And for this process, we've proved and tested it. And if anybody has challenges on it, yes, like I said, we've picked a few of them. But looking at whatever they are saying, none of them is even telling us that their issues have been about delayance. Because the convener himself, I was on TV3 with the convener, when the convener had accepted that he had been paid. And what he said was a friend of his make them understand we were able to confidently make them understand the fact that National Service had paid everyone, we were not owing them, and the few names that they had given us, we proved that all these people had not been paid, one, because of delayance, two, because some of them had not even registered at all. Yet these are people who the convener had come on TV to say that they had not been paid. Out of the 7 people who was there, not a single of them, 2 of them had been paid fully, yet they were out there going on a demonstration. The 5 left had done late submission, and as you and I are speaking, they have all been paid.
So what do you think may have motivated these young ones to be on the street then?
I so much cannot tell what motivated them. Like I said, I have more than 100,000 National Service personnel working. 70,000 of them are publicly paid. 30,000 are privately paid, and if only 7 of them are coming out, my brother, it will be difficult for me to tell what the motivation is for them. But I think it's sometimes painful when young people we are grooming to become leaders. For instance, I had heard some of the things that they are said to use very unprintable words on their executives. I believe if any of them wanted to be president, which I think maybe that was what a concern something wanted to, they would have gladly come out and contest for being a leader of NASPA, and then to the welfare of NASPA like they are thinking. Today, we have digitized the system because NASPA had seek for it. Today, there are many places where there are boreholes across the country because NASPA had worked for it. So if one person sits at one point and say all those unprintable words, as educated as our young men and women are, I think that is a cause of concern. Because for us at National Service, ours is to groom them for the job market, and grooming people for the job market, all of these things are part of it because it's soft skills.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you should be on the lookout for their welfare as well. Obviously, that will
come their welfare is the first for us at National Service. And then, gladly, if we are giving them all the orientations, like I said, 3 times at the cost of National Service and other things to make sure these people are groomed. If you go to our website, which is www.nss.com, you realize that it's one of the most accessed websites, very, very friendly. And if all of these things are open to that space, and still our National Service personnel do not think they should go through these processes, then my brother, I don't know what else we can do. Maybe we would have to have a whole, maybe a segment on your show and make sure that every day we are really on your show trying to groom them. That maybe can help them.
Okay, the bigger picture about the 559. It's been more than 4 years. The concern is, let's try and rework the figures. At least an increment will do in these times where we are experiencing inflation. Is the NSS considering some possible upward adjustments on the NSS allowance? Are you considering that?
Very sure. The NSS has already submitted this thing, and it's not because they are seeking for. I have heard them even speak to ask for 800 Ghana cedis. We have brought something higher than even that before Parliament. But what is more important is that there must be appropriation before we can spend. And as you are speaking, 2022 budget had already been appropriated. So we can only hope and wait that in the next hearing, the Education Committee can help us to make a case and make sure we get increments.
So what you're telling us is that you've tabled some concerns before the Parliamentary Committee.
Tabled some concerns, sure.
Are you able to share some of them with us? What are you looking at in terms of the reviewed figures now?
Unfortunately, all we can come out with will be the figures when it goes before appropriation. Because at this point, if I could give you any proposal, what I can say in confidence is the fact that it's more than the 800 that they are seeking for. But that one we are very clear about.
And that could happen next year, hopefully.
With all things being equal, and then the Education Committee sits on it and give us the clearance and go ahead to put it into our budget. And the budget goes to appropriation and accepted.
Well, give to you...
because we do not work for ourselves.
Right. Apparently, and we're faced with that fact that the NSS is becoming an avenue for job creation. Whether we like it or not, it may be a grooming process. However, it's also helping to plug that gap in giving some temporary employment before service personnel get absorbed into public service or the private sector. What measures are you taking to also expand your scope and try and provide some bigger opportunities for service personnel?
Right. For instance, as we're speaking today, somewhere 10 a.m., we had a stakeholders conference with AGI and many other institutions, about 1,200 of them, to make sure that these people take our national service personnel and then see the retention rate and how best they can keep them and groom them to become employable. And then at the end of the day, keep them up. We have projects we are running with, like I said, one is with AGI, with GRA, to make sure that the small scale people who are also employable are helping our people to be employed. We also have projects around the GIZ where we are helping the farming communities, and these national service people that want to work around all the chain of agri are also trained and groomed and giving some money as support. We did one with Maslow, we're doing one with MasterCard as we are speaking, and we also have what we call the entrepreneurship model, which we have created to make sure we get the people ready for the market.
Okay, so these are some of the measures you're putting in place, but beyond some of these interventions, are there some strict measures that we're seeing being rolled out immediately for the benefit of those who are perhaps exiting the system by the end of August?
Yes, the best we can do will be to groom them, which we do. They have monthly, district, and regional segments of grooming, and also sometimes training them on soft skills. And then again, the onus is more on the national service personnel to appreciate that wherever they are delivering their service, they're supposed to do due diligence and do it right. Because whether we like it or not, no matter the grooming we do, and no matter the models we create, if the national service personnel do not do the right thing at wherever they are doing the service, no employer would want to keep them up. So yes, it's a two-way thing. Whilst we train them, whilst we give them all the access to everything that they need, we also would employ them to also be able to do justice to wherever they are working. Like I said, I love to use the young man because he's the one who has been out there. And my young man who was going on demonstration, when he was asked on TV, if I'm his HR and I was watching him, he would come back to the office and maybe he would end up being fired. Because any HR would want to see some correctness in your job delivery. This young man was on TV. When he was asked, have you taken your allowance? He said, yes, I have. But what I'm here to do is that a friend of mine who had called me, and many of our national service personnel don't even go to work at all. And these are the challenges we are facing with them. But we believe that
have you put in place measures to detect that? And you're speaking on fact that many of them do not turn up.
Yes, we have a lot of them, and agencies keep writing back and forth to us, especially government agencies and South government agencies, telling us about how they don't come. Some of them will report, some will have to call and then sit on it, set committees up, and every time on our monitoring evaluation, it comes out clear. So we have many of them, yes, who may think that service is just a point of going for the service and not really even doing any delivery in terms of their own progress into the job markets.
Anyway, we need to go, but your final word to service personnel. They are looking forward to some bonuses at the end of the service as well. Is that in the package and the pipeline?
We do not have budgets for bonuses, but we have assured them that before even they complete the services, their certificates are going to be at their various abodes. Secondly, they are going to get digital certification where you never misplace your certificate and have it in your email anytime you want to access it. And then we have a system called the FLAIR, which is being done to give them access to recruitment as they are finishing. So everybody doing service is supposed to take the service serious. So you get a good recommendation for these processes. We open them to aptitude tests and other tests through agencies that have access to employment. And then they should go rather on their website and also on their portals to get themselves acquainted with the processes. And who knows, before even they complete their service, yes, they may get jobs before. But then with their payment process, the only way a national service personnel can be paid is when you go to submit your monthly duty form at your various district office. There is no payment place at the national headquarters. There is no payment place at the regional office. It's at your district office that you are supposed to submit to get yourself paid.
I hope there's clarity now, but we'll have to leave it here. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Gifty Owarimenta, Deputy Executive Director for the National Service Scheme.